14 years, 0 wins at that stadium, 52,000 people ready to watch them lose again. They led by 18 at the half. Different coaches, different squads, different decades, same ending. The home side didn't just win at that ground, they fed on it. Visiting teams would arrive sharp, warmed up, prepared on paper. By the 20th minute, something unnamed would settle over them. A tightness in the chest, a half-second delay on every decision. The ball felt heavier. The posts looked narrower. The locals had a word for it. They called it the fortress. And no one could explain what it actually was. The young captain had been appointed 6 months earlier. Late 20s, lean build, short-cropped dark hair, jaw like a squared-off brick. He didn't give speeches. He gave instructions specific, calm, one task then the next. When reporters asked him about the fortress record, he blinked, didn't look it up. He'd studied the fixture list, formations, tendencies, set play percentages, not legends, not history. To him, a rugby field was grass, posts, and a clock. Just arithmetic. The veteran had been there for all of it. 10 years. 4 losses at that ground, each one stored somewhere below the neck, in the shoulders, the gut, the way his jaw locked when someone said the stadium's name. Mid-30s, broader build, weathered face with deep-set eyes that looked like they'd been tired since his 20s. Tape wrapped around both wrists always. He didn't talk about the fortress. He didn't need to. His body had memorized every exit. The night before the match, the veteran sat alone in his hotel room. Curtains drawn tight. He could hear traffic 4 floors below, ordinary life carrying on, unaware that tomorrow mattered to him more than he'd ever admit. He replayed the exits. The try conceded in the 78th minute 2 years ago. The knock-on in the rain that ended everything the season before. His hands opened and closed on the bedspread. Not stretching, processing. His body was already playing the match, and already losing it. A knock on the door. The captain stood in the corridor, late 20s, lean, short-cropped dark hair, tracksuit zipped to the chin, holding a water bottle like it was a clipboard. "Can I come in for a second?" He sat on the edge of the spare bed, elbows on knees. No small talk, no motivational warmth. Just a man with a question. "What's the field like there? Anything about the surface I should know?" Simple, practical, like asking about the weather before a run. Veteran looked at him. Looked at this kid who carried no scar tissue from that place. No inherited dread. No phantom noise in his ears from a crowd that hadn't roared yet. And something in the plainness of the question, the way it treated the fortress like a pitch report, made the veteran pause. He almost told the truth, almost said, "It's different there. The air is thicker. The posts look narrower." Instead, he heard himself say, "Same grass as everywhere else." He didn't believe it. Yet, match day. The bus pulled into the car park at 4:30. You could hear them through the concrete, 52,000 already inside, a low living hum that vibrated in the chest before you even saw the pitch. The veteran felt it in his sternum, that old frequency. The captain stepped off the bus, bag over one shoulder, and looked up at the stadium the way you'd look at an office building you'd never visited. Neutral, functional. He said nothing. He walked toward the tunnel. During warm-up, the difference was visible if you knew where to look. The veteran's footwork was sharp, precise, but his eyes kept drifting, to the stands filling in waves, to the banners, to the far end where the home supporters packed tightest, already singing something old and territorial. The captain ran the same warm-up he ran every single week. Same sequence, same tempo. He didn't look at the crowd once. Not discipline, not courage. He simply had nothing to look for, no data to fear. 7 minutes in, it started. A penalty to the home side, soft, marginal, the kind of call that goes with the crowd. The referee's arm went up and 52,000 voices hit at once. Not a cheer, a declaration. The sound didn't bounce off the walls, it pressed down like a change in air pressure before a storm. The stadium was saying what it always said. This is how it goes. This is what happens here. You already know the ending. The veteran felt his shoulders tighten. He knew this feeling the way you know a recurring dream familiar before it finishes arriving. The crowd surges, the chest locks. Decisions start coming a half-second late. You don't choke, you just stop being fast enough. He looked across the field and saw 2 teammates exchange a glance. The kind of glance that doesn't need words. The kind that says, "Here it comes again." The fortress doing what fortresses do. The old story, reading itself aloud. Then he looked at the captain, and the captain was already pointing. Already calling the next set play, hand signals crisp, voice flat, cutting through 52,000 people like it was a Tuesday training session. Calm as a man doing long division in a quiet room. No recognition of the noise. No fight against it. Just absence. The myth couldn't find a surface to land on. The veteran stared at him, and something in his chest unlocked. Not inspiration. Something colder, more useful, permission. Pause. Think about the last time you walked into something you'd already decided you couldn't win. A job interview where you'd been rejected before. A gym session where the weight beat you last week. A conversation you'd already rehearsed losing. You weren't afraid of the thing itself. You were afraid of the story you'd built around the thing, the one that felt like a memory, and memory feels like truth. But memory isn't prediction. It's just a filing system with a bias toward pain. 12 minutes after the penalty, they scored. The veteran carried the ball into contact, hard, direct, the kind of carry he'd been making for a decade, got hit, recycled. And the captain was there on the next phase, threading through a gap the home defense left open because they were still performing for their crowd instead of reading the play. The ball went wide, then over the line. A stunned half-breath of silence. Then noise, but different noise. Confused noise. The sound a story makes when it stutters. They scored again 8 minutes later. This time the veteran set it up, a read he'd never made at this ground because he'd never been calm enough to see it. The angles were always there. The space existed every single year he'd visited. He'd just never been still enough inside to find it. The scoreboard changed. The home crowd tried to push their team forward with volume, but the sound had changed pitch. It wasn't pulling anymore. It was pushing, and pushing is panic wearing a mask. By halftime, they led by 18 points at the Fortress. The stadium went a strange, disoriented quiet, the kind of silence that only arrives when a story stops working mid-sentence. Not angry quiet, not deflated quiet, confused quiet. The kind where 52,000 people look sideways at each other and wonder if they'd been watching the same fixture they thought they were watching. The scoreboard was real. The myth, apparently, was not. And nobody in the building could explain the difference. In the dressing room, the veteran sat on the bench with his hands still, palms down on his thighs. The captain was already at the whiteboard, marking second-half adjustments like a man finishing paperwork. Teammates hydrated, taped, talked the ordinary mechanics of a game going well. The veteran didn't move. He was sitting inside a silence that belonged to him, not the bus ride silence, not the hotel room silence. Something new. The silence of a man who has just stopped agreeing to a contract he never signed. Here's what I finally understood about that night. The Fortress was never the stadium. It was never the 52,000 voices or the concrete or the floodlights. It was a story, told so many times by so many people that it hardened into something that felt like architecture. And the veteran didn't lose there 4 times because he wasn't good enough. He lost because he kept agreeing to the story. The captain broke it the simplest way possible. He never read the book. If you're grinding through something nobody sees right now, this one was for you. A fortress is just a building until you believe in its walls. Remember that. The next time you walk into the room where you've always lost and your chest tightens before anyone speaks, the walls aren't real. Your agreement is, stop signing the contract. I'm Cole. Subscribe, a new story like this every evening.